It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you last week? Well, I was only with you for the first half of the week, and we talked about fake nice gestures men commonly use to manipulate women into believing that they're a nice guy. Now, we had our Pastor KL, we had our Shantice on with us, and oh my, leave it up to those two to give us the extras in everything we talk about, but especially relationships. We talked about when men buy you frivolous gifts, buy you a little this, buy you a little that, try to make you think that he's paying you some attention. Well, guess what? Is he really a nice guy? Or is he just trying to get your attention? Is he trying to love bomb you? Yes, if you've been listening, you'll know what love bombing is. Yeah, they do all of this stuff to get you sucked up in there, and then all of a sudden they just drop you. Well, that's one of the nice things they say they do. One of the other things is wanting to be with you 24/7. Now, this is the part where it got juicy, because Shanti said, listen, if your goal is to make sure you know where I am at all times, then that ain't gonna work. Pastor KL said, listen, you around her 24/7 because you ain't got no place else. You are homeless. You trying to get shacked up so that you can have a place to stay. Now, I don't know. Because they didn't just tap into two areas I don't know nothing about. But you know what? We got to pay attention, because again, these are fake nice gestures that men commonly use. So listen, the millennial, the male, you gotta have to listen to what they're saying, because either way, it's fake nice. Ain't nobody trying to be around you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No. Ain't nobody in love with nobody like that these days, if it's a healthy love. Yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that in a million years. That was just a couple of things that we talked about in that particular category. Well, we had our girl Vivian on with us, Wow Wednesday, and her socially conscious segment. And DMV is ending the temporary leniency on when you get your license renewed. Now, this is something that I had no idea about, because see, back in the day, if you had your permit and it expired, then 2 years, you had up to 2 years to actually be able to still take your road test. But if you exceeded 2 years, you had to start all over again. Now, when it came to your actual driver's license, once your birthday came on that particular expiration year, you were a done deal. Yeah, you started all over again. Now, COVID has made this government extremely lenient. I mean, extremely lenient, because for you to be able to carry a license for 2 additional years, that is insane. Straight insane. Now, we also talked about the New Jersey family that's, families that's facing childcare issues, well, they're not going to supplement anymore the childcare. So now families have to either stop working, which is straight madness, because how can you maintain a family if no one's working? Or they have to pay this extraordinary childcare bill. And that's madness because ain't nobody making that kind of money. I don't know. I don't know what this world is coming to. These rules and regulations, how we are just pouring money into one thing and pulling money out of another thing. And now what are people going to do with their children? We have had a surge of babysitting issues where women are leaving their children with the men while they go to work. And these men have been killing these children. This can't be an alternative. These people cannot be reading the news. So I don't know, but prayers up, because if New Jersey is facing this, then I can guarantee you how many other states are also enduring this issue as well. Well, listen, Therapeutic Thursday and Freestyle Friday was handled by Shantice, and I'm sure she did a fantastic job. So you didn't have Pastor Steph, I was away, but if you did not catch Thursday and Friday, then you definitely want to go back and check out Thursday and Friday of last week, because she's always off the hook. Trust me when I tell you. All right. Oh, wait. Were you with us for my 2 cents on Wednesday? Oh, my goodness. If you weren't, you missed our rapid fire. Man, what movies did we cover? I can't even remember. What movies did we cover? I remember the sitcoms. The sitcoms was Good Times, Sanford and Son. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lean on Me. I don't know why they chose Lean on Me, because nobody knew any of the questions or the answers. Oh my goodness. I can't even remember. But if you remember, if you were watching, then you want to put that into the chat room when you say good morning to me in a couple of minutes, because I'm coming back to that. Boy, it was crazy. It was crazy. And it was funny. So go back right here on this YouTube channel and right back here on Facebook, Coach for Christian Life. All right. So it's shaking the Monday morning blues all over again. Yep. We are into August. It is August 11th. And we almost halfway through August, and August just got started. Well, let's get this party started. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Spread it to your family, use a loofah. Numerous studies have shown that loofahs, no matter if it's the natural or the plastic kind, can spread disease-causing bacteria. There's even a recent case where a man was rushed to the ER after getting a horrible staph infection from using a loofah. They're especially dangerous for those in your house that have allergies or conditions like eczema. Everything that's scrubbed off their body gets trapped in the crevices, and bacteria love it because they have an endless supply of dead skin to feed on. And then every time you use it, you're spreading all those germs back on your body. If you love your loofahs and can't get rid of them just yet, here's what you can do. Disinfect them with vinegar and water every day because bacteria count on a loofah can explode in just a few hours. If you don't have time for that, look into germ-resistant alternatives. These ones from Sud Scrub are made of a special silicone that's infused with silver and zinc that work 24/7 to keep germs away. They're third-party lab tested and proven to resist over 99% of bacterial and fungal growth. You can leave the
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is shaking the Monday morning blues time all over again. Yes, we are in like the beginning, middle of August. Time is flying by. The summertime will be clearly gone. Even the weather's changing already. Yeah, it's not as hot. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm surely not asking for the heat, but we have definitely not had the weather that we've been known to have in this time of August. So you better enjoy the sun because it's going bye-bye soon. It is clear that that's going to happen. Well, I want to say good morning to each and every one of you who has joined me. Now, if you are in the room and you want to say good morning to me and you want me to say good morning to you, you're going to have to let me know that you're in the room. You're going to have to shout it out. Now, I see that we do have some people in the room. So make sure you say good morning to Pastor Steph. Well, we got our first check-in for the week. Our boy Terrence. What's going on, Terrence? Good morning. Hey, we got our girl Ketty. Good morning, Ketty. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we've got our girl Vivian. Hey, Viv, how you doing? Thanks for joining us this morning. And we must say good morning to the ladies that help us hold it down. And that is Shantice. Hey, Shantice. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And our girl, Anika. Good morning, Anika. Oh, my goodness. And, oh, wait. Let me say good morning to Miss Grace. What's going on, Miss Grace? Good morning. How are you? How are you? Oh, our girl, Tamika, is checking in this morning. Hopefully, we'll be able to see her because she's been missing for the past 2 Mondays. So, all right, we'll find out. All righty. Listen, I was talking about last week, Wednesday, my 2 cents. And I still can't think of the movies that we talked about. And I don't know why, but check this out. So we had our reigning champion, Shawnee's, who actually won the first round of Rapid Fire when she answered that many questions right than everybody else, and that was for living single. Well, Purple Rain, yes, Purple Rain was a part of, okay, thank you. Purple Rain was part of the movie selection last week, and Dwayne was a runner-up. We had House Party as a movie, and think they did too well with House Party for some reason. I'm not remembering. No, I don't think so. And you know what else? Scary Movie. Yes, we had Scary Movie. So Scary Movie and House Party were both runner-ups. They had 7 out of the 8 questions. And here comes Shawnee's, the last person, because she's got to see if she can hold her title. And man, she did a clean sweep for the Wayans Brothers show. Yes. 8 out of 8 questions. Now, what do we say? Purple Rain and Scary Movie, those two contestants, that was Dwayne and Tamasia, they got 7 out of 8, and Shawnee's came and wiped them out. So afterwards, I gotta tell you results. Yeah, because this happened last week. I gotta tell you results. So what happened last week was, all I got, I don't know about Shantice, all I got was, yo, we in there the next time. Yes, they are rearing to go. Now, we had a few people the first time where we did Poetic Justice, which was the winning movie, by the way. Shirley's one talking about Poetic Justice. And we had, what else? Living Single, like I said, and a couple of other movies. Oh, but this time, okay, so I stand corrected. Koya did House Party, and she did pretty well from what I'm being told. I don't remember because the Sanford and Son thing blew me away. Sanford and Son, and what was the movie that Derek could not get hardly any questions to? He said, oh yeah, 50% is okay. 50% is not okay if you want to win. What kind of mess is that? So we had Lean on Me. We had Sanford and Son. And we had, what was the other movie? What was the other thing? Let me see. You Got Served. It was hilarious. So I'm just letting you know that if you want to see how it goes and what people have to do, all you got to do is go back to last week, Wednesday's My Two Cents. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. We had so much fun. And we took nominations for the My Two Cents TV and Movie Review Awards. Yeah. And they were throwing them in there. Not only that, it came out that the BET Awards is bye-bye. Yeah. And then the Hip Hop Awards, bye-bye. Yeah. I said, what's that about? The only 2 awards, that we really even had that represented us, well, they're gone. And this is what happens when you sell. This is what happens when it's no longer authentic. And now they feel there's no need for it. So, oh well. Oh, was it the Soul Train Awards? Yes, the Soul Train Awards. Yes, Soul Train Awards went bye-bye. Thank you so much, Backroom. Yeah. So, it's funny that we've talked about starting the My Two Cents TV and Movie Review Awards because we had no idea that 3 of the only 3, I should say, because what they got, NAACP Awards, they've got the Trumpet Awards, they've got, what else is left? The Source Awards, are they still out? That's one of those hip hop awards. Yeah, it's gone. And now we're the only ones that, one of the few that are authentic and like on our level. And it's going to be virtual. So maybe, listen, we're here. We're big on doing your own thing. I don't know if you've caught that. We are really big on that. On just do it yourself. Stop outsourcing. So maybe what we can do is just start our own thing. Yeah, we've got actors, we've got comedians, we've got producers, we've got writers, we've got directors right in our own camp. And when I say our own camp, I mean right here. Do you know Brother Al is an actor? Do you know that Brother Ainsley is a musician and a music director? I think Tamika, she acts. So I'm telling you, we're not short of creativity and talent, and we reach far. That's just us, not counting all the people we know. So, last week when we had the My Two Cents episode, you had a Paul, who's an actor, who's actually a SAG actor, Koya, who is a writer and director and is I think a producer. We had Renee, who's an actor. We had people, we had Vega from the last time, who I believe is a writer and director, or writer and producer, one of the two. So we've got our own people. Listen, let's start our own. You're talking about, didn't they just celebrate for like the BET Awards, like 50 years or something to that effect? Or Soul Train Awards was 75 years, something. It's some crazy number for us to just be wiped out in one sweep. So you can't do anything about that, but you can do your own thing. You can't start your own thing. So here we are. Here we are. You know, we might be pastors and Christian people and deacons and things like that, but we're also regular people. We're also everyday people. And we want to see us flourish. And the only way it seems like we're going to flourish is if we go independent. So I say, come on, let's do what we got to do. Let's join forces. Let's merge and let's get this job done. Okay? All right. Well, I got some trivia here regarding our health tips. Yeah. And I kind of went into that because I got to tell you something. I only got 2 stories today. Yeah. I got stuff for our main topic, but the news, my head, everything put together, it wasn't working. I was not enjoying it. And I have to tell you, the only thing in the news was like gruesome, gross stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling this tonight for this morning. I'm not doing those. So let's talk about some health tips. All right. Well, there's a suggestion to eat most of your calories by 7 p.m. Now, this has been like a big thing for a while. This is not new. This is not new news. It's not a new piece of advice. They've been telling us for a minute to kind of make your last meal between 7 and 9 p.m. And intermittent fasting was not called intermittent fasting back in the day, but the concept was there. So back in the day, they were saying like eat by 9, and then when you wake up in the morning, you're eating by like 7 or 9, and it was like almost 12 hours between the time you were eating. So that would be like intermittent fasting now, because if you calculated those hours, if you stop eating at 7 and you start eating the next day by 7, that's 12 hours where your body has gone on a fast. And that's, one of the increments of time that intermittent fasting is given. So you can do like 16 and 8, because remember, you're trying to get to 24 hours. So 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of no eating, of fasting. That's 24 hours. 12 and 12, 24, 12 eating, 12 not eating. And there was, 10 and 2. No, 10 and 12. There we go. No, 10 and 14. There we go. 10 and 14. 14 hours of not eating and 10 hours of eating. Well, if you chose any of those increments, that's the intermittent fasting. Well, they're going back to the 7 o'clock p.m. And what they're saying is, if you eat hearty by 7, in between 5 and 7 p.m., they say that it allows your body some type of rhythm where when your body slows down after 7 o'clock, you're not trying to like burn calories at the same time. Because we all, they told us that in order to burn calories, you gotta be mobile. And most people settle down after 7. So if you're not physically moving around after 7 or 7 and above, then it's harder for you to burn those calories, and your body, your metabolism has slowed down greatly. So if you want to try to lose that weight, if you want to try to keep the weight off, they say eat by 7 o'clock. Now, here's the interesting part. They didn't say stop eating at all. They said eat your highest calories by 7. So if you're eating and you're eating lighter, then that's not bad. But if you stop eating by 9, that's stop eating by 9. And for those of us who stay up later Yeah, that's going to be tough. But make sure you eat like really light things. Okay. I've been chia pudding myself to death. And I have lost some pounds. It's not showing, but I have lost some weight. And the chia pudding is like excellent. First of all, it's seeds. Number two, and you know seeds always come up on the good list. Number two, it's fiber. So now it's helping to your gut digestion. It's helping with you pushing the waste out. And you can there are a million variations of chia pudding. Okay. I even read that you can do chia pudding with water now. Or check this out. Don't do full chia pudding. They say you can drink chia water. So, in other words, when you do chia pudding, you leave it long enough in the liquid, most times like a non-dairy, like a almond milk or oat milk or something like that, so that it gels and it hardens in a sense. But they're suggesting drinking chia water, which you put less chia seeds in your water and it'll gel, but it won't gel thick. It won't thicken like that. And you can drink it. And let me tell you something, make sure it gels. I have had where I could feel the chia pudding, the chia seeds actually expanding inside of my stomach. Now, for me, that is not a good thing. Not at all. Not for Stephanie, but not for anybody really. So make sure that, you put, if you're going to do chia water, you make sure your consistency is there. So it's liquid, still kind of liquefied. And they say it is a great filler. It keeps you full longer. I want some pudding. I can't be drinking no stuff. I drink straight water. That's Stephanie's thing. That's what I do. But these are some things that will really benefit you. They say chia pudding is excellent. Chia seeds are excellent. The benefits behind healthy eating and chia seeds are amazing. So do some research, okay? They say skip the fries. Well, first of all, we've been talking on our own about the different types of oil that you can eat that's not good for you. And what sits at the top of the list for the best oil is olive oil. Well, you don't fry French fries in olive oil. Olive oil does not get hot like that. And we all know fries, if you want them nice and crispy and edible, you have to have them at high heat. So they say skip the fries. Go for mashed potatoes, boiled potatoes, or like a baked potato. Put a little bit of butter, margarine, whatever it is that's healthier on it, and enjoy it like that. But once you go saturated fat, trans fat, it's going to really be a killer on your system. They say add to your burger. What was it? Let me see. What? Mushrooms. Yes. They say mushrooms are filled with vitamin D, potassium, and vitamin B. And it's supposed to be excellent. Now, here's the thing that they're telling you to do. Don't add the mushrooms on top of the burger. It's not what they're suggesting. What they're suggesting is, especially if it's going to be a beef burger, they're saying add the mushrooms to the mixture. So you're kind of eating a mushroom beef burger, beef mushroom burger. And what it'll do is it'll keep you full longer. You're not eating as much beef, and you're getting all of those vitamin Bs, vitamin Ds, and that potassium that you need. I said, I'm going to try it because I have been eating mushrooms and it's not as bad. They don't look appetizing, but they are actually very tasty. So let's try it. Let's give it a try and see what happens. All right. They say scale back on your screen time. Now, this has come up. this has come up and this has come up. Well, number one, we just did one of the PSAs last week that talked about the screen time. And before you go to bed, they say cut it back at least 1 to 2 hours because it keeps your mind like stimulated. It keeps your eyes stimulated in a sense, and it's harder for you to wind down when it's time to go to bed. You don't remember that PSA? We'll play it again sometime soon, I suppose. But yeah, so they're saying cut back on that screen time. What else? Cut back on all the ultra processed foods. They say because eating all of that ultra processed food, they have found to be cancerous. And I don't know about you all, but this, I don't know, as I'm getting older, I'm seeing some stuff that I have never seen before. Now, I can't even imagine what the seniors are finding. The level of cancer these days, I'm talking about bladder cancer, back cancer, bone cancer, blood cancer, lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer. Oh my gosh, this cancer thing is straight through the roof. I don't know what's happening, but all I could say is it's everything. It's what we're eating. It's what we're doing. It's how we're treating our bodies. It's how we're neglecting our bodies. So if they're telling you stop the ultra processed foods because they are finding that the more ultra processed foods we eat, the more cancer we're getting, I say stay away. We cannot serve God dead. The Bible clearly says, who can serve God, who can praise God from the dead? Who can serve, who can praise God from the grave? Yes, the Bible says that. So, I keep telling y'all, ain't nobody tap dancing, playing no tambourine, or playing no piano in heaven when they die. The Bible has cleared that up. Okay? Now, who are we to go against the Bible? Who are we going to go against the word of God? Okay? So, this ultra processed food, and if it's connected to cancer, I just pray to God that he allows me to live my life and go out of here no cancer. And thank God our family has not been cancer ridden. You know, we've had some issues here or there, but for the most part, because man, they say eat your fatty fish for better cholesterol. We always hear this omega-3 fatty acids and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah, we want to make sure we keep our fatty fish. And you know that's going to be your salmon. You know that's going to be your sardines and your mackerel. I said it right, mackerel. That's going to be those 3 fatty fish that you want to eat. And years ago, we used to take cod liver oil. Grandma used to give us cod liver oil. But listen, we were the healthiest things walking around. Now everybody who's born got allergies and autism and ADHD, and that cod liver oil, that castor oil, that was doing jobs. Millennials don't want to take it, and look at how their children are coming here. Go figure. All righty. Drink tea, and get to which tea they're talking about. Green tea. Green tea is extremely healthy. As a matter of fact, Shanti's, write a note. We're going to do green tea benefits. We did green tea benefits, amazing. We did sardines, the sardine benefits. Remember that fatty fish? Amazing. We talked about pomegranate juice. Amazing. We're gonna do those over the next 3 health tips. We're gonna do those 3. So remind me, Shanti's, okay? All right. Wow. Here's one of the things that really caught my attention. Don't mix meds with dairy. Certain medications can't be mixed with dairy. Now, they're saying foods like milk, yogurt, and cheese can actually block the absorption of medications. So don't take those with dairy products. Now, tetracycline That's an antibiotic. Okay. Don't take that with dairy. All right. There's a couple of other medications that they don't want you to take with dairy. Stephanie cannot pronounce these things. So they are thyroid medications, though. There are some, let's see, what did I just say? Antibiotics. There's some medications, lithium, that's taken if you have bipolar. And there's some platelet count medications that they're saying do not take. They're saying skip not only dairy, but also other calcium-rich foods like sardines or even Tums, because they contain like some calcium bicarbonate. In other words, that acidic that's going in your system. So yeah, you can't mix medication with certain foods. And I can't believe it, because you have to remember something. God has made a lot of food medicinal. So now you're talking about dairy, which what are they doing to the cows and all of that kind of stuff. And go look up whatever you're taking, whatever medication you're taking, go look it up, okay? And see if you can mix that with dairy. So before we go into our 2 news stories, let's see what we're talking about here. Let's see. We got a check-in from our boy Serge. Hey Serge, how are you? We got a check-in from our Deacon Diallo. Hey there, good morning. Good morning and good morning. We've got, let's see what else. What's the comments like this morning? Oh, Tamika says that Deacon Diallo wants us to know that today is his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Deacon Diallo. Good morning. We're so happy that God has allowed you to safely make it through another year. Amen. And welcome to the show. All righty. Well, Tamika says, I rarely eat after 8 p.m., but never thought of it as intermittent fasting. Yeah. If you think about it, those hours ends up being an intermittent fasting thing. Yeah. Okay. Terrence says he loves his potatoes. Ketty says, yes, she loves her potatoes too. Terrence says, I'm glad I only eat turkey burgers. Wow. All righty. Listen, this turkey burger thing, they're good. Can I tell you something? Shantice makes a pretty good turkey burger. I'm sorry. Just every once in a while, I want to eat a regular plain old burger. Let's try the mushroom burgers. I'm ready. And Terrence is saying happy birthday to Deacon Diallo. And Katie says, yes, there's a lot of different cancers. The doctor told me that the food is not what it was back then and what it is now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Miss Erlima. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's get to our 2 things of news. Let's see what we're talking about today. Yeah, it's nothing great going on in the news. Well, I thought this was kind of interesting. We've been talking about prejudice in this world today. And we're talking about bias, and we're talking about male and female bias, and how women are not making the same money as men, how, women are not treated the same way men are treated, so forth and so on. Well, there seems to be some kind of new trend that's going on. Takeout ordering. Yeah. They're saying that women are noticing, and they've done some, let's say, survey that they're ordering from the same, they started with Chipotle. And what they're saying is when they got their orders, if they ordered under a woman's name, it was this much food. But if they ordered under a male name, it was this much food. Yeah. So they've even had some people who have actually gone into Chipotle. They've had some couples actually go into Chipotle, and they would have the woman go first, and she would get like this portion. And then by the time he got off the line for their chili bowl or their the Chipotle bowls, he had this much. And they started to actually expand that to ordering more. They say they've got like 10 to 30 grams difference. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how you measure grams. Now, if you want to say cups, ounces, stuff like that, then then I could catch that one. But this grams thing, I don't know how you are catching that one. But they say that they've been doing a lot of experimenting, and these women have bowls and plates and things that they're comparing. So one woman ordered from one Chipotle an order, and from another Chipotle. Now, they were also wondering if it was like the different restaurants. So a different restaurant might give a different portion, period, not necessarily to male or female. Well, that's when they started to actually order from the same or go into the same restaurant. So one woman says, my husband and I met up separately to order and pay there. I was obviously pregnant as well. We ordered the same bowl. He got twice the meat and a way bigger portion of everything else. It is so true. One woman said that she's extending this to plumbers, mechanics, electricians. Now, I'm going to tell you something. As a homeowner of 30 years, as a car owner, you always want to take a man. Yeah, they are just so trifling. Yeah, because they will definitely try to kick your butt and cheat you. So going back to this food and this restaurant issue, they actually tried a couple of other restaurants. One woman said that her and her husband went to Whole Foods, Fresh Market, and ordered the exact same thing. She said he got easily twice as much of everything as she did. She said it was so infuriating. One other woman said that her mother-in-law noticed that the cafes that her and her husband were going to, the cake. So when you go to one of those restaurants and they have the cake in the window, it's pretty much cut evenly to the degree where they even have like a piece of paper in between. But what they did was they ordered from a cake. They pointed in the window at a cake that was not quite even. And they said, sure enough, the mother-in-law said, sure enough, the husband always came out with the bigger slice of cake. Now, they also compared it to home, where the fathers are also given the biggest piece of chicken type of thing. And that men are accustomed to getting the bigger portions. Now, they are really going in on this, and they're saying, you try it. So let's say Lady Tamika and Brother Al, they tried to find out, if that's the case. So, yeah. You know what? For some reason, I can believe it. This world is just so stupidly prejudiced. Now, they have spoken to Chipotle managers and supervisors and owners and things like that, and they're like, y'all got to be kidding me. They're like, we don't even care what the name is on the order. We just, do this equally. They were saying that maybe unconsciously it's being done. I don't know. I say try it. I ain't got no money to be ordering the same thing twice. That's just ain't happening. So, but let's see. All right. Well, what else are we talking about in the news today with our one only story? The only other story we have. So, of course, Trump gets the news. So he is vowing to evict the homeless people from Washington. And he's been deploying the authorities, the National Guards, the SWAT, the police, into the streets of Washington because some aide from the White House was attacked. Now, isn't that the case all the time? We talk about something that's all the time. It never matters until it hits home. So all this time, homelessness was going on in Washington. It didn't seem to matter. It didn't matter at all. But now, all of a sudden, because an aide is attacked, it matters. So now he's trying to get all of the homeless people. He uses the word evict. All of the homeless people out of Washington. Now they've got this battle going on because they're saying that he's technically limited. The president is limited. I keep telling you, president, they can't do whatever they want to do. He's technically limited as to what he can do in certain areas. Now, he's not able to override local government. So the mayor and another, I think it's a mayor and governor, but definitely the mayor is one of them in the state that he can't override. And they would have to take a special vote and put in a new law in order for him to be able to do certain things. And they're talking about this here in particular. So they're saying that out of the 700,000 people of Washington, they only have about 3,782 single people who are homeless. And that the homelessness has dropped considerably. So they say from the beginning of 2025 to now, it's at a 26% decrease because these people are in shelters and things like that. Compared to 2023, they were only at 7% decrease. So they're like, okay, so what's the big deal? So of course, he's there. His people are getting attacked. Why else? Okay. Not we need to stop homelessness because it just ain't the thing of America. And it shouldn't be a thing of America, but to evict them. So they're like, okay, where you evicting them to? Where you going? Where they going? Oh, well. So the mayor is, and I think she's a woman of Washington. They are really taking this like personal. So I don't know, y'all. I do not know. I have no idea what you're talking about. And now there's this battle going on in regards to this who's going to handle the homelessness. So he's already declared that this is how he's planning on handling the homelessness issue. And now we don't know what's going on. All right. Well, let's see what we're talking about in the chat room. Deacon Diallo, you're getting a whole lot of attention here. So Shanti says, you get a bigger portion of food at restaurants when you dine in compared to when you order takeout. It's better to order and dine in than ask first. Okay. And then ask for a to-go container. Okay, well, thank you for that little caveat. We appreciate that. All right, let's talk to our due time crew. Where's our girl Tamika? Good morning.
Monday morning. Good morning. How are you?
Ooh, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been so long since I sang the little jingle.
I know. You even got Pastor KL coming up with his own jingle, girl. So you better get here on a Monday morning. So let's talk about this portion issue that they say is an issue now, where they have ordered from the same restaurant under a female name, and then they've ordered under a male name, and they say there is a noticeable difference with the portions. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy, because I don't order two of the same things. But they said it's become so noticeable now that they've tried it with other restaurants, and they found that this is what's going on. Is this what we've come to, Tamika, where we can't give men and women the same size food, same portion?
I believe so. Listen, I get some fat days, and from time to time I'm a foodie, and just like my fellow potato eaters, Ketty and Terrence, if I'm going someplace, I rarely ever eat out. But when I do, like, let's just say I want some McDonald's fries. I used to work at McDonald's, so I know when you're putting a medium-sized fries inside the large. Can I have some fries, please?
Wow.
I just have to go back to you and say, this is not enough fries.
Okay.
And ironically, I remember just going literally into McDonald's, and Al and I got fries. I'm like looking at his fries, and then I happen to look at mine, and I'm going,
really?
Yes, it's something wrong, and I'm like, I literally had to go back. At first I wasn't gonna complain, but then when I looked at what his portion was and what my portion was, and this is the day that I want to pick out, and you give me this, yeah, I was mad. I was good and mad.
Wow. Well, this is something, that we got to really pay attention to now. Like I said, I don't know what we're going to do. I ain't going grabbing up no man just to be going up in a restaurant tomorrow. Okay, we have the same thing, and then seeing whether, it's, it happens. Shantice, you brought up, and I'm not ignoring you, but I wanted to put something in the chat room, Tamika. You brought up if you dine in compared to takeout, that you get less in the tray. Have you noticed when you served, was there a difference in the portion? I'm trying to see what happens on a takeout. All righty. We're talking about this battle between Trump and the local politicians in Washington, because he wants to evict the homeless, and he wants to now go out in the streets of Washington and clear up the streets, because one of his people, one of their aides from the White House, was attacked. Now, homelessness has been existing all this time. Now, all of a sudden, there's this huge thing. How do you evict homeless people?
As soon as you said that, that was the very first thing that I thought of. Okay, so you evict them from there. Where are they going to go? Okay, so you evict them from this block. They're going to go around the corner to the next block, next little spot that they find. So that's a dumb idea. And here's the thing: I understand that this individual was attacked. One of the things that I realized that a lot of times is that homeless get a bum deal. How do you specifically know that this person was homeless? Do we know for sure that this person was homeless?
Right.
Homeless people are not the only people that are attacking people. You got people, just everyday people, got a job, doing all types of stuff. And for whatever reason, this is the day that they flip out and you become their target. So,
right.
And the news, they love to play on those types of things so that, it incites more fear for your everyday,
Right.
Individual. We know some people that their fear is getting mugged or attacked by a homeless person. You could very well get attacked by anybody at any time because these people are off the chain.
Right. And the mayor is saying that across the board, crime has decreased in their city of Washington, D.C. So they're not understanding why all of a sudden there's this major concern. Go figure. Thank you for joining us this morning. Where's our Pastor KL? All righty.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you? Why are you in the dark?
I don't know. I'm in him downstairs. I'm in the basement.
Well, tell them you need some light. Did they pay the light bill? You need some light.
This is what happens when I travel to New York. They put me downstairs.
Well, welcome back to New York for your momentary stay. Serge is saying, not Serge. Terrence is saying, yeah, they do that with McDonald's. McDonald's fries, Tamika, he was like, yo, you get cheated with the fries, okay? And we'll come back to the other comment when we talk to Pastor KL. So Pastor KL, there's this thing where they're saying men get one serving size, women get another serving size. And they've been doing this survey by ordering under a woman's name and then under a female's name. And they say, lo and behold, it's happening. There's a woman who asked her mother-in-law or complained to her, and the mother-in-law said, yes, the restaurant that they go to, her and her husband, every time they order cake, his cake is larger than her slice of cake. Do you believe that this is a thing?
Well, I don't want to believe it, but I mean, it sounds like it could be believable. I mean, we just went to a restaurant for my mother's birthday Saturday, and the plates we had, oh my God, you could eat off them for 3 days, but all of them seem to be the same size portions. But I mean, I wouldn't say that it's not happening. I guess it is happening. Somebody's complaining about it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay. What restaurant was this so we can go and get a healthy serving size?
To be honest with you, I don't even know the name of it. It was an Italian restaurant in Central Avenue. Oh my God. It was the best I've ever had in New York. I'll find out the name for you though.
Okay, you're breaking up, by the way. So not only are they messing with your light, they're messing with your sound quality.
Listen, all the earthquakes. We had all these storms. Hurricanes in New Jersey. Over there.
I'm one of the homeless ones that's being evicted.
Oh my goodness gracious. So soon? You just arrived. Why would they want to evict Pastor KL? Oh gosh. I just can't figure out why. Well, we're talking about the homelessness in Washington, D.C. and President Trump wants to evict the homeless. He has now sent out the National Guards, the SWAT, and the police officers to now address this crime issue because they supposedly attacked his, and maybe not the homeless, but someone attacked his aide, one of the aides from the White House. So now there's an attack on crime, and we got to get this crime down. And the mayor is saying we don't have a crime issue across the board. Crime is down. So what say you about nobody ever seems to care until it hits home? Why do we even live like that?
I always say, it doesn't matter until it hits your backyard, which is kind of pretty bad. But I'm baffled because I remember a time when the people who had houses and had apartments, they attacked the whole building. They wasn't homeless. Right. They attacked them. They ran up the walls. They wasn't homeless. And then we got mad. He got mad because some folks went to jail for that. You know what I mean? So how do we do that? How is it okay to attack the building when you want them to attack the building, but when you don't want them to attack the building, then it's a big crime? Really? That's what we do?
Yeah. It's like, the phoniness is amazing. The fraud is amazing. Well, Shanti says, I did ask her, when she was serving, was there an issue with the portion control? And she said she couldn't find it because the cooks don't know who is ordering. And that's what the managers and the owners of Chipotle was saying. They were like, this is insane because nobody knows the name on the order, the receipt. They just make the orders up. She says, as a server, if you're good with the cooks, you would ask them to give you more of a portion for the guests, with tip. Money over gender. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Wow, that's how we doing it. All right. Terrence says he's going to put them on a bus to New York. Yeah, Terrence, that sounds like that's going to happen. Pastor KO, you better get out fast because they coming to New York. Absolutely. We've got a check-in from our boy Majesty. What's going on, Majesty? Good morning. Good morning and good morning. Well, thank you for indulging me in our news. And we're going to talk about relationships. And man, oh man, I always marvel at this. I'm like, the relationship dilemmas are always like, why? So this guy, I'm trying to see his age. He and his girlfriend, now the girlfriend is the one complaining. She says that they split everything 50-50. Finances, everything is put on the table 50-50. Everything was going fine. They lived together and everything is going fine up until a few weeks ago. And she said she noticed he was home a little bit more than usual. And when she asked him about it, he said, he was taking some time off. So she said, after a while, a mutual friend casually mentions that he had actually quit his job. And he had never told her he had quit the job. So she asked him, what's up? Did you actually quit your job? He said, yeah, he did, because he needed to reset. So she said she was not sympathetic because he had not said anything. Not only that, he hadn't really been complaining about the job. And how do you quit your job and you don't tell anybody anything? She said after a while, she said he fully expected her to cover the rent and all the bills for the next few months as he figured things out. Well, she was like, no, I'm not doing that because I got my own stuff to cover. Now, you're going to have to come up with your half the bills. You're going to have to come up with your portion, your half of the rent. And I'm going to keep on paying my bills and I'm going to keep on doing whatever I need to do. So mama decides to call and she approached this woman about not being supportive and she should stand by her man. And she said, no, I'm not standing by him, because without any notice, he just up and quit his job. So the mother has blocked her. The mother's blocked her because she would not stand by her son. Mothers and their sons, oh my gosh. And she's really upset and is considering just leaving. What say you, Tamika? How is she handling this? Come on, I want you to weigh in the chat room. What should she do?
I think she has every right to feel offended. First of all, you decide to quit your job. You weren't fired. You weren't let go. Your assignment didn't terminate. You decided to quit. And that's not so bad. But you didn't say anything to me. I'm your partner. We live together. That means you pay this half, I pay this half. You said nothing to me. So you didn't give me time to prepare. You didn't try, maybe I could have been able to set aside something. You decided that this was your choice and this is something that you decided to do, and that it's just automatically okay for me to pay the whole. Wait a minute, I was paying half. Now I got to pay the whole thing, And then to add insult to injury, you get your mama to call me. You can't handle it, I mean, really? So that means all your life, whenever there's a situation, you get mama to fix it. And this one cannot be fixed by mama. And I don't care if she does block me. Because my thing is, if we were going to pay 50-50, at least give me the advance notice to make a choice for what it is, what decision that I'm going to make. We need to at least have a conversation, because, hey, maybe there's something that I was planning on doing, but now I can't do it because you decided to just, I'm going to just quit. And then you are in the house with me, and I'm looking at you, looking at the time. Now, I know at such and such time, you're still here. That's
big time.
Yeah, that's
big time.
Really inconsiderate.
Wow. Pastor KL, what say you?
Well, I applaud this young lady. I really, really do. And I will say this, for too long, women have misconstrued grace with just trying to help out, or people being enabled. The men are taking advantage these days of women. And you keep on helping them out. I'm gonna stand by his side. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do that. And they keep on doing what they want to do because you let them do what they want to do. So that's why they always in the same boat. You don't ask a clown why he became a clown. You ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. Why you keep going back to the circus? That's ridiculous. So I applaud her, because this ain't the first time that he's done this. If your mama got to talk up for you, your mama knows you're a bum. Mama knows you're a bum. But listen, your defense lawyer knows that you did the crime. He still defends you.
Wow, Tamika, we getting profound. Why? Don't ask why he's a circus. Why you keep going to the wait? That's why he's the clown. Just stop going. Why you going to the circus? You come to New York and get all profound. You know what?
I got light now. Can you see me now?
Yes. Now the thoughts can prevail. Oh my goodness gracious. So Terrence is going back. He says people's names pop up on the screen when they order. It's true. Because remember, now they're taking your name. What's your name? Mark. What's your name? Mary. Yeah. So they can see at times, if it's a male or female ordering. Terrence says, go live with your mama. That's what I say. I say, mama, don't pick up no phone calling me. You want a freeloading son? Then you have a freeloading son. I don't have to take your freeloading son. You raised them. You raised them to be a freeloader. So guess what? Take your freeloading son. I'm with you, Terrence. Shati says, no freeloaders. Absolutely. Kenny says, how do you quit your job and you have bills?
Child. 9 times out of 10, he was kicked out of mama's house. That's why she told the girlfriend, go ahead and pay the bill.
Yeah.
Been at mama's house. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
because she don't want him back. That's right. Because she don't want him back. So now I'm going to talk about you and how you need to take care of him. Well, whether you want him back or not, you got to go. Because anytime you are that insensitive to go that route, nah, we good. We good.
Listen. 9 times out of 10, he had an ultimatum. He either got fired or he had to quit. So he chose the quitting so it wouldn't look bad that he got fired. But people don't just leave their jobs no more when they got bills.
Yeah.
You got forced out.
And I agree. Because I was gonna say the same thing. Why you up and quit a job? Who in these days and times quit a job? Whether you got bills or not, but we all got bills. There's not one billless individual out here. You got to pay something. So why would you just up and quit your job? Not only that, before we move on, my question is, how you eating? You home all day. You eating and you ain't contributing nothing? Oh, you gonna be hungry because I'm gonna eat out every day. See, this is why you ain't gonna be living with people. Because see, when you start getting to this point and you start being spiteful, I be eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the outside. My grandmother used to say, eat your food, mouth, wipe your mouth clean, and keep it moving. Well, guess what? That's what I'd be doing. You'd be hungry. You'd have to go get a job, or you'd be eating at mama's house.
I would be preparing my meal every day. Oh, smell good, don't it? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there watching while I eat. You will not get me.
Oh my gosh.
You're having a
Oh my goodness.
Hey, brother.
Okay. Anika says, this happened to me in my 20s. Mama trying to call me to support her son. He was sent packing back to mom. Absolutely. She says Tamika is right. She's trying to keep him out of her house. Mom accused me of not truly loving her son. You're right. I'm sorry. I ain't in that kind of love. All right. Next, relationship dilemma. You have a brother and sister. So the brother gets married. He has a set of children and they get divorced. He remarries, and the woman, his new wife, takes care of the kids, loves the kids. They're one big happy family until she has her own child. And all of a sudden, the children that he had already become the step kids. And they spoil this little brat to death, making it very difficult to weigh out things in the house, children versus child. So the sister is married. She has a wife. And they notice that there's a large amount of prejudice. And they talk to her brother about it. And he told her and the wife, yes, I know that we don't treat the older children the same. But because I gave up everything for my marriage and it didn't work, I'm not about to give this up for my children, for the older kids. So if it means I got to be a little prejudiced and I got to, side with her a little bit more, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep my marriage. They said that the little girl is a straight brat. She always teases the other children about what they don't have, what their mother doesn't give them, so forth and so on. So now it's gotten to the point where they go on vacation and they don't take the older children. They just take the shared child. So now the aunt and the wife want to go on vacation, but they specifically want to only take the older children who have been abandoned and neglected. So the brother is asking, well, since we didn't get an opportunity to go on vacation this year, can you take little Jenny? And the sister was like, absolutely not. She's a brat. I don't like the way she treats her siblings. You already favor her. She's been on vacation. These children haven't. I'm not doing it. Don't ask me again. We're leaving her home. Not only that, but she's a brat. We don't want to deal with that. So she and the wife were standing her ground until the wife one day asked the question, are we any better than his wife, who is treating the older children the way we are about to treat the baby? Tamika, where do you go from here?
That's a big one, because we're looking at, we're looking at some major family trauma. The family as a whole needs to be healed, especially the husband. What didn't happen in the first relationship, he's trying to make up in the second relationship, and his lack of being healed caused his child to be favored over the other two. They're all, and it's not fair. I look at that, reminds me of Leah and Rachel situation where they fighting over a man. We're just looking at all kinds of stuff that people are getting neglected or somebody's getting overserved. And it would be I would think it as the wife of the woman. I never thought of it that way, but when you're doing the thing to the two older, you're not doing any better than what they did with the one child. Have an outing for them all and try to be able to, hey, you get a portion, you get a portion, you get a portion, so that they see the difference, so that they understand we're all his children and we should all be treated the same. You don't give somebody an extra such a portion of a gift. You give the girl all of this and then the two other ones, they just spend up. I think that it would be a nice thing for all three of them to be able to go on an outing themselves. And when this bratty child starts to act up or say something or do something, you correct her right then and there, so that you let them know, hey, I'm not gonna side one side or the other. That way they can physically see at that time the correction and then adjust accordingly.
Okay. Listen, weigh in here. I'm dying to see what the chat room says. Should the aunt and her wife take all the children on the vacation, despite the fact of the bratty ways of the little one? Or should she leave her at home because the older children never go on vacation? They leave them at home or leave them with the aunt. When they don't go on vacation, they just take little Jenny. They do not take the older children. Pastor KL, how do you weigh in?
Yeah, they better hope they don't put Jane in the pit. You want to go biblical. They better hope they don't put Jane in the pit. Because I'm sure these older folks got a couple of dreams. And the dreams is to put Jane in the pit. You listen, children don't understand the difference. You know what I mean? We're all supposed to be children. We're all supposed to be growing up. If you're my sister, you're my sister. We're supposed to be treated the same. Now the father is clearly out of order. You sacrifice your children. You throwing them in the fire for this one child who's bad as Hades. No. And then the woman is out of order. You knew when you came in this relationship, this man had other children.
Right.
And now that you birthed your own, she's a golden child and she's a demon. She's demon scorned. So me personally, if you keep on setting your children off at me because they can't go with you, now I'm taking these children and we're going to Disney. We're going all over the place. And Chucky gotta stay with you. I'm not taking Chucky too. No.
Oh, goodness.
Chucky gotta stay with you.
Shanti says, leave that brat at home. The aunt takes who she wants. All right. So here's my thought. I'm gonna come back because I don't know how long I'm gonna have Tamika. I don't know how long I'm gonna have Tamika.
You got me
Okay,
for the
I'll come
long
back.
haul. I'm here.
Okay, so then I can weigh in right now. All right, so here's my thought. My thought is, I'm sorry. As much as I understand the point that the wife is making, no. You have already set the tone. I think it would be, although we do want to, be bigger people. My thing is, since you've separated the family, it is your responsibility to merge the family. Regardless of what I do, it's not going to change what goes on in the home. Since little Jenny is bratty enough to be able to not only get favored, to be favored, but she's mindful enough to tease and to, so even if she's a brat, that's one thing. But you're so aware of the difference that you are teasing your siblings, fine. Well, your siblings will go on vacation the same way you have been taken on vacation and you've been without them. So we will go without you. Why? Because you vacationed already. This has nothing to do, in my opinion, with the end of the day of, well, we need to show the balance. We need to, no. Maybe if it was under a different circumstance, but Jenny has been on 15 vacations. These children haven't been on any. And now I'm going to take Jenny on a vacation with us, the children who haven't been on vacation at all. They need separation. They need to be treated. They need to be loved, and they need to be loved alone. Little brain. So you know what? This won't be the time we teach the lesson to older Jenny. You'll have to learn your lesson, and maybe you'll see a little differently when we take the other 2-3 children and we leave her at home. Maybe then you won't like how it feels. And the father, I'm in agreement with Pastor KL, you have failed miserably, to the degree that you literally said, that you neglect these children, but you're going to do whatever because you failed the first time. You're going to do whatever you need to do, even if it means sacrificing your children. Nah, I'm sorry. Little Jenny stays home. She's already been favored. She's already gotten vacation. I don't think it's fair because whatever money they have to spend and they got to split it 3-4 ways. No, we're going to split it 2-3 ways. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Anika says, I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen also in the opposite. The woman had a previous child. It caused a lot of tension and they ended up divorcing. I would take the siblings first without the younger. Yes, they need their own vacation. Aunties can take who they want. All righty. All right, let's look at this one. Relationship dilemma. So you have this woman who's been married, her and her husband, before they were married, they dated for quite a few years. They are now married. Now, mom-in-law was treating her okay. Wasn't no exceptional treatment. This was no, mother in love and all of this, daughter in love and all of that kind of stuff. But it was tolerable. Ever since they got married, they don't call her by her name. They call her by the make and model of her car. And she had said to her husband, okay, I took it for a couple of minutes, but because I thought they were joking. But now that it seems to be a permanent thing, no, that's not going to happen anymore. I'm going to stop answering. So she stops answering. Well, that didn't seem to work. So she stopped the mother from coming over. She said, if she's not going to respect me in my home and call me by my name, which she knew all along, because before we got married, she would call me by my name, then she can't come to the house. Now, there's no definitive reason why she went from being called Marsha to Honda Civic. And she's like, no. Tamika, what we talking about here?
Let me tell you what you're not gonna do. You're not gonna call me a VW bug. You know, I have a name.
Gosh.
You know, why would you do that? You know, and okay, fine. The first couple of times, like she said, you know, you humor things. You know, you don't let it bother you. But every time you see me, you won't call me by my name. You know, that is important, and you're being petty, and I don't even understand what purpose it. You know, why would you do that? You know, and it's gonna cause issues. So when we were dating, it was cute. I humored you. You know, you know, you just let it go. But you're gonna continue. I intend on being with this man for the rest of my life, and I'm not gonna be called VW Bug for the rest of my life. Not gonna happen.
Oh, goodness gracious. VW Bug. Child. The KL. What are we doing? Why are we doing these things?
It's just to get up on your skin. I mean, if every time I see you, I'm calling you Buick, you know, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying? If you're a deuce and a quarter, you know, back in the days we had the deuce and a quarter, you know what I'm saying? That was a big car. You know what I mean? So if I call you pickup truck, you know what I mean? It's just to get up under your skin. But somebody needs to, the husband needs to check it. You know what I mean? I don't understand all these wimpy men in these stories. You know, the husband ain't checking nothing. The man ain't checking nothing, but yet he want to be the head of the house and ain't checking nothing. Why does the woman have to stand up for the woman? Who's the protector? That doesn't make sense to me. Even the dog is upset. Y'all hear the dog? Even the dog is upset. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because I wanted to actually come talk to you two about that. So let's talk about the last relationship dilemma. We got a couple of minutes before we get the switch tip this week. So there's a woman who is dating is meeting men on a dating app. And one of the things she says she highlights is the fact that she does not want children at all. She doesn't say why. She doesn't feel she has to say why, but that's just her specification. She does not want children. Not only has she stated she does not want children, she does not date children who have men. Children who have men who have children. Men who have children. So she said that she met a guy who she really liked. You know, they clicked on this site. And then when they talked for several months, when they met in person, everything went really well. She said they, you know, would see one another from time to time, and they started increasing the dates. And then they got to be a little closer, so they started dating a little bit more. She said that one day, out of the clear blue sky, he drops the bomb that he has a child. So she says she's furious now because you've sucked me in. You've, you know, blindsided me, and you've lied. You've deceived me. You knew that up front. I said I was not interested in having children, and I am not dating anybody with children. So she said she would not answer his calls. He is now calling, leaving all kinds of messages. You know, we were getting along so well. Why won't you continue to see me? We were getting along so well. I don't tell anyone that I have a child until I see that we have the potential of taking it further. It looks like it's going to go somewhere. And that's the only reason why I didn't tell you. And what did he say to her? Something about you just don't want, I thought I was going to come across. Oh, he said she was a coward and she's afraid of having a little parental responsibility. Tamika.
All right. So some people are not going to like this, but I just have to put it out there. She put a disclaimer She outright said, I don't want children, and I don't want somebody who has children. You know, that you decide, this is your choice, that you saw my disclaimer, and you decided to go past that, and you introduced me. We had a good time, we're laughing, we're giggling, and all of a sudden, how I get sideswiped with something that I've already told you in the very beginning. I did not want, did not want a person who has a child, and I didn't want children. So that's whatever it is, whatever her choice is, and whatever her reason is for not having children, she has a right to what she feels. And then when you decide to introduce her to something that she clearly said in the very beginning, and she doesn't have to explain in the very beginning, especially on her page, she doesn't have to tell you why. You could have had a conversation with her, prior to, but these situations with blindsiding people. Where do we get off blindsiding people and expecting them to say, oh, it's okay? No, it's not fair to her. And the fact that you didn't give her the info, you could have told her from day one, listen, I have a child. 9 times out of 10, she would have let you go because that's what you said she didn't want. And so for you to feel that it's your privilege to introduce and then call her a coward and say that, she's afraid of a little parental responsibility. She doesn't have it and she doesn't want it. And she has a right to that.
All righty. Pastor KL.
I'm 100% in agreement with Lady Tamika. I don't want no children. When my grandchildren call me and they say, Pop, can we come over and spend the night? If your mama spend the night, but you can't come spend the night, then we're going to make it a family thing. Sure, you come spend the night. But you're not leaving me with no child. Well, I'm hungry. He touching me. Got to change my pamper. No, I don't want that. And you can't be mad at me because you a liar. You know what I mean? You lied in the beginning. So now you want me to accept your lie and say it's okay? Now I'm part of the Chuck E. Cheese factory? No, I'm not going to Chuck E. Cheese. I'm not buying no birthday gifts for no kids. I'm not buying, no Happy Meal. The Happy Meal is not happy from my pocket. I'm not doing it. You cannot come to my house as a child unless you have parental guidance. I am not the parental guidance. Not me. Because when you break something, I need your mama to see what you broke. So when I say you got to pay for it, you saw little Chucky break it. I need it back tomorrow.
I'll weigh in afterwards. I do want to touch on the fact of, these men in the previous stories that did not cover their wives. They left their wives out to dry. You have the guy who quits his job, and now mama's calling, whether mama want to keep him out of her house, whether mama honestly feels like just give him another chance. I don't know. The man who has washed his hands of his own children from a previous marriage to baby the new child is insane. And with the sister like, hey, are you realizing what you're doing? And he's saying, yeah, I got it. I'm doing it. And I'm doing it intentionally because I need to save my relationship. And the last individual who allows his mother to call his wife. We're not talking about a live-in here. We're talking about this is his wife, who at one point mother had respect. And then now that they're married is known by the make and model of her car. What seems to be the problem, in your opinion, Tamika, with this mother? These males not covering the children or the wife.
I think that it's deplorable. One of the things that you're supposed to do as a man is govern, and guide. And you're not doing any of that. You just decide you just gonna lay down and do whatever it is you want to do. And then allow mama to cover you. You're not even doing your due diligence by the women that you involve yourselves in, and not standing up. The one thing that you're supposed to do is stand up as a man. And in these instances, you're just laying down, you're not, and literally laying down with this woman, not doing what you're supposed to do. You have a responsibility. And when you don't do it, you do us as the female, whether we're married to you or whether we're a boyfriend, you do us a disservice. And then we got to stand for our own. We got to fight for our own. We got to, push and scream and, holler. And then we seem like, there we go, the angry Black woman. Because now you put me in a position. Now I got to fight and yell and scream and holler because I don't want to be called VW Bo.
Oh my goodness. That is crazy. That is crazy. Pastor KL, what are we talking about here? Where do you see the problem with your men? What's going on?
Well, I see the problem on both sides. I mean, Tamika was actually, absolutely correct on a lot of stuff she said. However, I believe that women these days are not taught or trained how to be wives. They're taught how to be independent women. You know what I mean? And that's already hard. And the mother has no husband. There's no daddy in the family. So the mother is teaching you don't need no man. Or just be independent, stand on your own, which is great. There's not a problem with that. But the problem with that is that now you don't know what a man looks like because you have no example of a man. So anything that comes to you talking the right stuff, you fall for it because there's no example. So these people that we're speaking of are not men. They're little boys. When you got to go and run to your mama and say, hey, fight my battles, when you got to say, listen, man, I ain't got no other place to stay. I got to do what my wife says. You know what I'm saying? Forget about my children. A man is going to provide and take care of their children in spite of what she got to say. Now, look at the woman. If the woman sees that you won't even take care of your children and you'll only take care of this child, then that's already a red flag. But because you're getting what you want, you don't care about this side. So both sides are kind of crisscross. It's really, 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 really terrible. They're definitely not men. They're definitely not providers. They're definitely not protectors. But the women being in their independence won't allow them to be providers or protectors.
Interesting concept. We got to come back to this conversation. But until the next time, God spares. My Do Time crew, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a wonderful day.
Have a blessed day.
Blessed day.
Thank you. It's Monday. Duke Time crew has arrived. And now it's time for the switch with Shantice. Let's say good morning to Shantice. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, Shantice. What you got for us today?
Okay, today on the switch with Shantice, we'll be making the switch from the streets to our godly seat, and we are up to switch tip 227, which is stop being mediocre. Now, I have to make sure I read multiple definitions when it comes to being mediocre. Okay, I'm sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty. There we go. Okay, so we're talking about being mediocre. Oh, all right, first definition that came to mind. We have not fully using the gifts and talents that God has given us. And it means not fulfilling the purpose that He has planned for us. Calling all believers, now these definitions primarily, anytime now God has me big on definitions. Anytime God has me big on definitions now, His definitions, I have to make sure I pull up. Because when we look up, whether we look in the book, whether we look on Google, we get in the definitions. However, sometimes it's not quite the real definition, but we know that God is going to give the real definition. Okay, so again, not fully using the gifts and talents that God has given us, not fulfilling our purpose that He has planned for us, calling all people who believe in him to pursue excellence and dedication in all that we do, especially in our relationship with God and in our service to others. Being ordinary in quality. And I pulled up the definition of ordinary because sometimes we got to get down to the nitty gritty. Ordinary, with no special or distinctive features. Normal. Now, we understand that God speaks a lot on modesty, whether it's modesty in our dressing, modesty in our mentality, modesty in our speech. We're supposed to be walking with humility, meaning putting others before ourselves. So that means being okay. There's a verse that says, be okay with being second place, lowering our importance so that we can assist Jesus with pretty much bigging someone else up, helping them get introduced or reintroduced to Jesus so they can understand how much he loves them. And in doing so, God continues to remind us how much he loves us. At the same time, God has made each of us with very special qualities, very special characteristics, very special. We all have the same goal, which is to make it into the kingdom, and God sends Jesus back. But each of us are our own person. We each have our own personality that has been given to us from God. And as I was reading those definitions, it made me think about the parable of the talents. When Jesus said that God gave each one talents according to who he made them to be. So to one person he gave 5 talents, to the other person he gave 3 talents, other person he gave 2 talents, other person he gave 1 talent, but they all had the responsibility of multiplying those talents, meaning they were supposed to exercise the talents that they were given, meaning that they were not supposed to be basic, ordinary, of no quality, and even not do anything with the talent or do the bare minimum. God speaks to us about making sure we don't do the bare minimum. How do we know that? I'm going to paraphrase real quick. There's a verse where God says, make sure that you're outdoing yourself. Make sure that anything that you do, remember, you're not doing it for man, you're doing it for God. Are we supposed to give God our basic? Are we supposed to be ordinary? Are we supposed to give God our emotions and our energy with no special or distinctive features? Absolutely not. So I did come across a few verses that definitely highlights this, making sure we're not moving in a way that's not distinctive, in a way that's not special, in a way that doesn't have any true unique qualities. Joshua 1 verse 8 in the Amplified Version, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall read and meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything in accordance with all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will be successful. There is no success without being buried in the word of God. The written word, which is the Bible, the living word, which is Jesus. If we focus on God's word, written and living, not or, written and living, and we make sure that we meditate on it, meaning we make sure we lock that in, and that's what we focus on. So whether God gives you one verse a day to focus on, a chapter to focus on, a concept that leads to verses in a chapter to focus on, and then we make sure we speak those things and we make sure we live it out, then we will be successful. There is no success in being ordinary. There is no success in just sitting back and knowing I could do a little bit more, but you know what? I'm going to just give the bare minimum because at least I did read the parable of the wedding feast. Yeah. You'll see what happened to the person who felt like, well, at least I showed up. Matthew 5:16 Amplified Version, let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good deeds and moral excellence and recognize and honor and glorify your Father who is in heaven. No one can glorify God if what they see is an ordinary person. I'm talking like everybody else. I'm looking like everybody else. I'm making decisions like everybody else. And this not being mediocre, I'm so annoyed with myself because there's a particular verse that I was reading about a month ago where it gave a word that's synonymous with mediocre, and I had to look the word up, and the synonym was mediocre, and I cannot find it. But you know what? I'm gonna talk to Pastor Steph. Once I find it one day this week, I'm going to ask her if she can interject it into one of the other days. But how are we supposed to, what does it say? Shine like a light, Jesus is light, if we sitting looking like everybody else? If we're making decisions like everyone else, it's impossible. Jesus stood out when he was here in the flesh. Jesus stands out even in the spirit because he is not like everyone else. He is matchless. He doesn't sound like everyone else. He doesn't move like everyone else. Even when you think about all these other lowercase man-made gods, he still stands out. There's no difference. When we do our research and we're reading up about these other idols, they all sound and look the same to me. But no one sounds and looks like Jesus. Interesting. Philippians 2:14-15, New King James Version reads, do all things without complaining and disputing, that you may become blameless and harmless children of God without fault in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. Yes, those are two of my memory verses that I needed for myself. I needed it because I needed it about complaining, but how well it fit in with being basic. We are in such a perverse generation. How are we supposed to stand out for God? Again, if I'm okay with blending in with everyone else. And the more God is pounding this into my head, the more I feel like I have to speak up more. And it doesn't mean speak up all the time. I'm still keeping that in my mental Rolodex. At the same time, it means speaking up more. It means making my presence more, not so that Shantice can be seen, but so that Jesus can be heard and seen through me. Ezra 10:4, Amplified Version, stand up, for it is your duty, and we will be with you. Be brave and act. Drop the mic. It is our duty. God does not continue to bless us with the breath in our body that he has given us. We're breathing his air. He's filling our lungs with his breath. He's not granting us this opportunity just so we can now move like we're serving the devil. Because if we're not moving like we're serving him, we're automatically moving like we're serving the devil. So let's make sure we're making the conscious decision of making the switch from being basic, from being ordinary, from being low in quality, from being mediocre, to making sure we are standing out, standing up, not shutting up, not letting anyone shut us down, because we are here to be a shining light and a representative of Jesus. Thank you, Pastor Steph.
Shantice, wow, I like that. I like that. I like that. Stop being mediocre. Thank you so much for that word for the day. We pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Woo! I love these switch tips. They are so practical. And as she was talking, my mind was racing. I was just envisioning everything that I've been experiencing, everything I've been seeing, everything I've been hearing. And I want to give this benediction. Romans 15:6. May the God of endurance and encouragement grant you to live in such harmony with one another, in accord with Christ Jesus, that together we may with one voice glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. How do we tie in what we've talked about with what the switch tip was? Because it always ends up like blending one way or another. And we were talking about the relationship dilemmas, and we're talking about the what do you call it? The switch tip of stop being mediocre. I come from a grandmother who was a little one, but she was strong, firm, stood her ground. Once God gave her something, she was not compromising. If she was different, then she was different. And it didn't matter to her. She focused on what God said and what God did. Was she perfect? No, because none of us are. But she comes to mind when I talk about the relationship dilemmas and the stop being mediocre. she with her grandchildren, she was no joke. She was like, you need to stand out. Whether she said those words at times or whether she didn't say those words at times, that's what she taught us. You blend in, but you stand out. And it may have come from the fact that regardless of how little she was, she always stood out. She was just, they said they had to put her up on a chair to cook. They had to put her up on a chair to sing. She had a big voice, but a little body. She stood out. And she wanted us to be the type of people that were not embarrassed, that we did not, we could never, that was not happening. Open up your mouth, speak. And when it came to the things of God, you better believe. You better open up your mouth and you better stand out, because God made you. And whatever he gave you, he gave it to you to give to his glory, for his glory. And how does this tie in to our relationship dilemmas? You're talking about a group of women. You talk about a group of women who just did not do what they needed to do to stand out. And we don't want to be in that ballpark. Just like Pastor KL said, there's an issue with the men, but there's also an issue with the women. Sometimes women are so busy being independent that they will move on despite the fact that something is not right. I'm just going to keep on going because I got something to prove. I'm just going to keep on going because that's what is there. And I don't have to, this is not going to bring me down because I'm going to make it regardless. And yet you're dragging this baggage. And it ties into being mediocre, because it's not just about walking off and being independent and blending in. Because that's what happens at the end of the day. When you sit back and you allow things to happen, you become mediocre. But when you stand up and stand proud and say, you know what? We're good. We were living together. You decided to quit your job. And as independent as I am, I'm not going to pay my bills and just keep you here, because that's the arrangement. And you're going to have to figure out, I need to step up out of here. I need to be confident enough to know that this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. And if I have to leave you and your mama behind, then I'm going to leave you and your mama behind. That's a level of independence. It is not allowing yourself to be mediocre and blend in, and now you just with a man on your arm. It's bigger than that. There are things that God needs us to do that we need to do for a reason. We need to stand out for a reason. God needs to be able to use you, and that's what we were taught. God can't use you if you're mediocre. No, because then what difference do you make in this world? We need to live in harmony, but we need to take our place in this world. I cannot imagine living a life that is mediocre, that God does not get the shine out of my life. I can't even imagine it, because that's not the way I was brought up. I cannot allow anyone to be in my space that doesn't allow me to shine. And as long as you're carrying baggage, you will not shine. It's just plain and simple as that. So let's give God the glory. And that's what we were taught. Give God the ultimate glory out of your life. And until you do that, you have to ask, is God happy with my life? Until you do that, will you make it in the kingdom? because we don't realize that weight is weight, and weight will keep us out of the kingdom. God is coming back for a peculiar people. He's coming back for a perfect church. And perfect is not perfect in man's eyes, in man's brain. But perfect is, I need you to shine. I need to know that every time someone looks at you, you represent my son. Can we represent our son, his son being mediocre? Can we represent his son with baggage? The answer is no. Can we represent his son and not be mediocre if we're dragging around? We need to stand tall and saluting God at all times. And until that literally happens, we are not properly serving God. This walk is very distinct. This walk is calculated. You have got to be intentional. And that's what I was taught. And, you know, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, because when they grow older, they will not depart from it. And I got to tell you, I think about what I was taught very, very often. And I was taught to keep your head held high. You never drop your head. Don't feel embarrassed. If you fall, get your behind up. Keep it moving. Ask for forgiveness. Let God restore you, and stand up and salute all over again. And if you fall, get up, dust your knees off, go back to the Lord, confess and repent, put up that salute, and move on in the Lord. And until we do that, we are going to be nothing. Until we do that, we will continue to be mediocre. Let me tell you something. I always tell people comically, I operate at 70%. Y'all whizzing around me and everybody moving around, and they could go all day and ain't nobody took no nap. I need about a couple of naps before I get through the day, or in order for me to get through the day. And I'm like, oh my God, are they actually still moving? And I'm like, okay, I need a bed. But with every 70% of my fiber, I'm going to serve God. With every 70%, every bit of that 70%, I am not going to live mediocre. You know, I spoke to Pastor Ed recently, and I was telling him some stuff that God had given me. He said, you know what? Grass will never grow underneath your feet. He said, you are always moving. And I said, because God has got me always moving. It ain't easy. And I have to, you know, just as I close today, I've become extremely off. What's surrounding me is pulling me down. And I went to bed last night and I was like, God, I can't let man pull me down. I can't let the job that you've given me pull me down. I can't even describe where I am right now, or where I was as of last night before I went to bed. But I woke up today and I said, I'm not going to be average. So it's really interesting that Shantice brings up this mediocre thing, because I'm not going to be mediocre. God has created in me a great thing. And I refuse to let somebody else pull me down. That's my children, the church congregants, outside family, this world, anybody. My strength comes from the Lord. I don't have room to be mediocre. I have to stand strong, and I have to make sure that I am saluting God at all times to let him know that I am paying attention and I have been called as well as chosen. Make sure you stay right there. It's Pastor Steph signing off. Oh, you've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us today and keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Until then, I love you.